sang, and the walls of Apartheid shook. But what happens when your very first hit is banned in your own country just because of your skin color?
ANC gangs fighting fierce battles with Inkatha gunmen in the Johannesburg township. In the tense Athlone township this morning, police resumed their patrols after yesterday's shootings. These men are from the controversial Internal Stability Unit, accused by the ANC of not only...
Today's attack follows a week of extraordinary levels of violence around Johannesburg.
Born in 1961 in Cape Town's township of Athlone, Jonathan Butler was the youngest of 12. Raised in a world where skin color determined your worth, he discovered something more powerful than laws: music.
I'm from South Africa, born in Cape Town, but I was raised throughout Africa. Cape Town was just like a base. I would call it a base because every other city I grew up in, Johannesburg, Durban, Pretoria, Swaziland, Namibia.
At just 12 years old, his song made history. The first by a black artist played on a white radio station in South Africa. In a country built on silence, Jonathan's voice got through.
But you know, we were poor. We were extremely, extremely poor. We had an outhouse for a toilet. We had no running water, no light, electricity. We grew up borrowing money and, my father didn't work. I remembered, my father never worked because he was sick, very ill. My mother worked by herself. She did, she worked for a white lady in Mulberry in a hairdressing. My brothers and sisters were kind of scattered, talented but scattered and not focused. Wearing clothing was having a nice pants was luxury, or not having shoes was normal. Regular violence in the home, alcohol, just disorder and chaos. And yet from that chaos was a lot of music, a lot of beautiful sounds came out of that house. I think I was first discovered in my mother's house, but I think I was discovered through some of my brother's friends and people that he worked with. And, first time I ever saw white men in a house, and I just kind of ran away. I was like, man, this is crazy, And then they got me back in there, and I had to sing for him like an audition, And I was freaked out. I mean, he is the 6'6" guy in the house,
In 1977, Jonathan left Apartheid behind and crossed continents. British producer Clive Calder signed the teen prodigy to Jive Records. His debut? A bold, mostly instrumental jazz statement. He was compared to George Benson, admired like Stevie Wonder, but Jonathan wasn't imitating, he was translating. Pain, faith, and funk into something the world hadn't heard before. Though never a militant protest singer, Apartheid haunted his music, and in 1987 Lies hit America's top 30, earned a Grammy nod, and whispered a powerful truth in a smooth melody.
When you're on stage, you have an opportunity to tell your story. As a kid, most kids that were 7 years old were sheltered and protected by their parents. They went to school. Me, at 7 years old, I was working. I was a working child for my parents. I sang. I gave my mother my envelope, 20 Rand or 25 Rand. And I talk about all of these things, and I talk about the drug years when I was, I knew every cartel drug dealer in this town. By name. I still remember their names. I still remember that running away from Boot Hair and Cut Jochum's, my God, Weedle, and running away in high heel shoes, sitting there smoking buttons with these guys. And
Loving in the past,
As his career soared, so did his spirit. Albums like Grace and Mercy and Free brought gospel into the groove, a fusion of jazz, R&B, and raw praise that topped the jazz charts. Never one to stand still, Butler reimagined classics with 2018's Close to You, and in 2023, he returned home for Ubuntu, produced by Marcus Miller, featuring Stevie Wonder, and grounded in African soul. More than a guitarist, more than a singer, Jonathan Butler is a reminder. Music breaks chains, melody survives regimes, and hope can be played in four chords. They tried to silence him. He gave them a song. This is Jonathan Butler, the sound Apartheid couldn't stop. If Jonathan's story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more musical legends, and drop your favorite Jonathan Butler track in the comments. Until next time, keep watching and listening deeper to Times TV.